So you have like shows where there's Naruto, you got Sasuke, and then you got like Rock Lee, all right? Like you like him, but he doesn't get the limelight he so desperately wants and or deserves, okay? And at the end of the day, the show is called Naruto, not Rock Lee. There's a car that's like that, okay? Even though it's not the main character, you just wish it got a little bit more love, like a little bit more attention. I'm Alex @Defy on Instagram, and today we're gonna be talking about a car that is one part happy, one part very angry, okay? A car that just left puberty and is really just trying to find its stride and its own style because it's not a phase, all right? A car that when you see it in the rearview mirror on the track, you unfortunately know it'll probably get into the passing lane once you get through the kink, all right? A car that just like the R33 or the 996, people just don't seem to love them as much as they should, even though they should love them because they're a pretty darn okay car. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're gonna be talking about you wanting to own an NC Miata. And if you're just jumping into a video of ours, hello, all right? If you're on the fence, own one, and I'm looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, you know, for your car, you're gonna wanna check us out over at fitmentindustries.com, where we literally have everything your heart could possibly imagine. It's kinda like what we do. And before everything else, comment below, wheels or rims. Apparently this is a very big deal. Mostly on our TikTok. We're trying to teach wheels, but you know, maybe it is rims. Maybe the colloquial has stuck around for way too long. We do allow you to do wheel and tire packages that actually fit your car, may have a little bit of a stretch, because when you go to Sears, I got my wheels put on at Sears when I was 16, and they judged the living shit out of me for putting 215s on a 9 wide, okay? The lady and the guy criticized me. They told me it was stupid. One guy straight up told me I was gonna die, okay? And we don't judge you like Sears judges you, okay? With wheel and tire packages. Going into the NC Miata, there's no denying its happiness. It was like the third generation of the MX-5 that was manufactured from 2005 to 2015. And it won some pretty good awards. It won Car of the Year. It won the Japan Award for cars. It made some of the top 10 best lists at the time. And it was the first gen MX with a retractable hardtop, which was a pretty big deal. No longer were the needs of sourcing a glass hardtop for your NA or MB for the same price your Mazda was actually worth. I'm not kidding. It blows my mind that hardtops are like $1,200, but then you can get a Miata for $1,200. Now, not a good Miata, but a Miata for $1,200. It don't make sense. But the design of the NC Miata was more than just a retractable hardtop and a smiling face. It was what revived the Miata brand back into the 21st century and actually paved the way for another decade of success with the Mazda brand, because Mazda was having a little bit of a tough time trying to get out of the 90s. Now, Murray Callum, a middle-aged man who started his career at Chrysler, would jump over to Mazda on September 7th, 2001, where he was actually promoted into the position of lead Mazda worldwide design, which was a pretty big title for a huge task, okay? I mean, you had to revitalize the entire Mazda range. And the existing Mazda range was kind of, sort of, a little bit, not trying to be mean, boring, and a little bit of unsuspecting, and didn't really breathe the old zoom zoom mentality that Mazda sorely needed. So Murray would take a clean recipe of black interiors and sporty instruments with edgy exterior shapes to make the new Mazda, and it was supposed to be a nice emotional look. It would brag about the emotion and sharp edges together with slopes and curves. No Coca-Cola reference here, Kia Stinger. Ladies and gentlemen, this was just a proper new school design. And when he completed the management of the redesigned MX-5, it sealed the deal that Murray had done it and recaptured what Mazda needed to succeed for another 10 years. The NC1 from 2005 to 2008 would have some interesting features that may not have aged the best in current day and age, but it's really not that bad. It's got some bulging fenders, a 2-liter 170 horsepower motor. It's actually like 164, but we're gonna round up for the sake that we like Mazda. Auto or manual transmission, a limited slip differential, and a front end smile that could kill. It also had some chrome. Didn't really like the chrome. It had a little bit of chrome. Just look at it. I mean, look how happy it is. Even when it's angry, it's happy. It maybe just didn't have the headlights, you know, the flip up headlights of the NA, but it was still good. And unfortunately, the headlight pop-up days are dead. And we need to get over it and move past it. 1992 3000 GT VR4, best pop-up headlights ever. The pre-facelift NC sold fairly well, and even with the multitude of trim options, most people would snag a pretty basic manual soft top and avoid the weight that was added with the retractable hardtop, which had like a 12.1 second retractable hardtop thing. That's what you brag about when you have a retractable hardtop, is how fast it can be retracted. 12 seconds, baby. That's about the same time as a quarter mile. And the good old poof of makeup with some styling changed into 2008 and 2009. So you had some larger fog lights, and you had like a larger smiley boy in the front, okay? It was awesome. You had new instrument panels and an angry interior that said, no, Mom, I'm not going to Christmas dinner tonight because your family gives me a headache and I no longer see the need to attend something that I don't find value in. And most of the time, people like just sleep the entire time after they eat anyway. If anything, I'm stopping for coffee, then I'm going back home to play video games. That is what the second trim of the NC kind of was. From 2005 to 2008, it redesigned itself. But from 2008 and onward, it really started to get its own groove, its own momentum back underneath it. And even though it tried to really get away from the happy, look at it. It's like, it was always just like, it was always smiling. It was just happy. And as the years went by, Mazda would get more trim and more special editions, versions of itself that would make any grown man cry. Because the way that Mazda does things is it's very, very easy to introduce special limited edition trims on different platforms across the world. Like any nation can pretty much do it. So you had the 25th anniversary edition. You had the Jota MX-5 GT. You had the BBR Mazda MX-5. You had the GT270. You had the Kuro. You had the Sensu. You had the Venture edition. You had the Breathe special edition, the Black Tune special edition. I don't even know how many fingers I'm holding up anymore. Sport Black. You had the special edition again. You had the Matte. You had the Miyako, and you probably had like 24 other prototypes. Now, some of them were actually produced and some of them were not, but most of them were special edition trims. And while the MX-5 was initially pretty popular, not many find them as lovely as the NA or NB Miatas anymore. Fact. Okay, TikTok for some reason only likes NA Miatas. You want a Miata, you get the oldest one. You don't even think about the NC. Well, I'm not really entirely sure why people think like that because, you know, we're not here to talk about the history of the car. We're here to talk about you wanting to own one of these bad boys, one of these 4x4 looking, bulging, leisure suit wearing, still kind of too slow for its own good kind of cars. That is the Mazda NC MX-5. So you want an NC Miata. Well, set down your favorite pop-up headlight song from my boy James and grab your favorite can of Plasti Dip because we're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about what it's like to actually own one of these things. The NC Miata is good for quite a few reasons. Number one reason, it's a Miata, okay? It's the foundational, proper, budget sports car that can do just about everything. And almost anyone that's critiqued it has loved the car. It's near 170 horsepower, which is a good jump from the 142 from the predecessor. The extra gear is awesome for highway driving without losing its spunk around the track. And the one thing that has seemed to plague these cars, really, especially in recent times, is just the earlier generation looks, okay? The MX-5, the NC version, does look a little interesting. The ride height and its overall bubbly look gives it more of like an SUV appearance than a sports car appearance. But to be honest, for people like you and people like me, that can be fixed incredibly easy because you just did the wheels, the tires, and the suspension from fitmentindustries.com. You slam it on the ground and you're good to go. The biggest complaint that ever came to this platform was its change from the NB of lacking function to having almost too much function. The NC had extra trunk space. It had wider seats because apparently people enjoyed the fact that you couldn't fit in NB seats. Some additional electronic tech and nannies and some more easy functions that made people feel like they weren't getting the same car as an NB Miata. It almost took out the soul, aka uncomfortableness, and replaced it with some comfortableness so that you could actually go across the country in it. The NC shared components from the RX-8, which made some people feel like it lost the heart of the Miata, but a lot of it is exaggerated. The NC Miata is one hell of a platform for its own reasons, and it does more of being a proper car than the predecessors really ever did. Now, don't get me wrong, I love NA and NB Miatas because I've owned a million of them, but they weren't exactly things you could do. You can do it with everything, okay? The NA and NB Miata, like, they're just a fun car, but they're not as versatile as an NC, you know. Take it from the guy that we put 100 shot of nitrous in the back and slapped it onto the gas pedal so that anytime you're over 90% throttle, it just opened up. Or the fact that we ran her into a tree or drifted it around back roads in Mexico. Took off the sun visors because I couldn't fit without actually seeing the road. Never mind, we're not going into that. And let's not even talk about the fact that the older generations had a lack of leg space. I mean, when I say that, I mean it was non-existent. The dash was the source of storage for any road trip, and the lack of gearing made highway driving feel like you were going to blow up. If you have an NA, you know what I'm talking about. If you have an NB, it's a little bit better, but you still know what I'm talking about. Put that bad boy in 5th gear and try going 74 on the highway. The NC Miata fixes a lot of that for just a hair more weight and a little softer overall ride when you take on the face of a sports car. I mean, and while you can throw on Volks and Enkis and Graham lights on the car, really anything is possible for this car to look good. The softer styling goes well with a sharper spoke design wheel like the RR series lineup from Enki or even Motegi's. One thing I would definitely recommend though is gonna be coilovers if you pick up an NC Miata. The car especially needs the coilovers because it is raised pretty dang tall. You can get them Tane, BC, Silvers, any of them. Just get it on the ground. The ride height issue is a bit much, and once it's lowered, it really does start to look a lot better. And everything will start to blend. I mean, it'll especially blend in once you are around NA and NB Miatas because you can actually see the difference in height. Keep the tire profile as low as possible as well to maintain the height of the car. Pair that with a front lip, side skirts, and a minimal rear diffuser, and it'll really pull the entire car together. The biggest mistake people often make with these cars is making them look a little bit too 4x4, and they do that by not fixing up the suspension, and they also do that with keeping a 45 series sidewall tire on their wheels. You wanna drop that down to a 40 or even a 35, or they add over fenders where the car doesn't need it. It already has it. The car really doesn't need anything more on the body. It needs to get closer to the ground. Get rid of the amber side markers, clean up the chrome, throw some Koenig Hypergram, Federal 595s, and Tane coilovers on it. You've got yourself a newer Miata under 10K that'll perform damn well for what you need, and your co-pilot won't have to remove their legs to get in the car. The car did properly well, and there's nothing really major that would ever break up the NC platform before it really jumped into being angry in the ND platform. It's a banger value car. It's just not as popular as the rest. But what are your thoughts on the NC Miata? Okay, you can respec all Miatas or you can not respec all Miatas. Let us know below, and if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to hit us up over at fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We'll see you later. Peace.